In the last few months, I've been wrapping my head around what could come next for the main series of Pokemon games, and after all of that, I think we have only a handful of options. We'll either see a Legends game taking place in Johto or Sinjoh, Gen 2 remakes in whatever shape they want to make them, a Gen 5 remake collection, or a Gen 5 sequel. As much as I want to believe on a Scarlet and Violet sequel, well, I gotta be more realistic this time. You can check out my daydreaming on this video though. Anyway, what will it be? Well, hey, I'm not so a strainer, and I believe a single Pokemon might have spoiled that answer for us. Let's get into it. Let's start this with why are those 2 or 3 regions the ones that are in the conversation? I mean, why not Kalos, since Paldea could be really close to it given they're both inspirations? There's even the grayed out area over in the northeast part of the map. Surely it is connecting to something, right? Well, yeah, it likely connects to something, but there's been a lot of Johto elements and Unova elements in the last few games. Pokemon Legends Arceus brought us the first mention of Sinjoh in a long time, the place where the people of Alph and the people of Hisui got together. And that I believe is in Kitakami. But it also brought to us Ingo, a character we've only met in Unova. This was further built upon with the Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet DLC, showing us another Japanese region, the land of Kitakami, the Teal Mask, which even brought Johto tunes to our Roto Stick and had a very traditional Japanese vibe to it. Something that really brings memories of the Gen 2 region. It's got the old, the ancient vibe, it has got the Legends vibe for Johto, but in a different place. So I think that a Legends game with that focus is one of the options. Which means new Johto remakes are not really in the cards for me, although a big part of me really wants to be wrong. In the Indigo Disc though, we actually went to Unova. This showed us a lot of new characters and locations referencing older characters, but most important of all, it showed us that Unova changed. The Blueberry Academy did not exist back then, and they tell you that it is a recent creation. It also has a very modern vibe that contrasts with the more traditional vibe of Kitakami. All of this screams future, it screams change, and it screams sequel. So, to me, it is simply between a Legends Johto or Legends Sinjoh and a Gen 5 sequel. If you've watched my predictions for Pokemon Day, you already know the answer, and if you haven't, go check them out and tell me yours. But why do I believe so much that we'll see a Gen 5 sequel? Well, that's very easy. After the release of the Indigo Disc, there are only a few Pokemon that are not yet in any Nintendo Switch game. That means that you can neither catch them in or transfer them to Pokemon Let's Go Eevee or Pikachu, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Pokemon BDSP, Legends Arceus, or Scarlet and Violet. They are just locked in Pokemon Home, in a weird digital limbo in between consoles. Those Pokemon are Patrat, Watchog, Pansage and Simisage, Pansear and Simisear, and Pampur plus Simipour. Those are all Gen 5 Pokemon, but I kinda missed one, and that's Furfrou. Furfrou is clearly the odd one out, a Gen 6 Pokemon that hasn't found its place in any Nintendo Switch game. And with no Gen 5 Kalos remakes in the future, it will either be a Gen 10 thing, or it will have to be something completely different. One important thing to keep in mind as we look at this is how there's another Pokemon that while it can be caught in Pokemon BDSP, it cannot be transferred to or from Pokemon Home, and that kinda means it is trapped there as well. That Pokemon is Spinda, and while both Spinda and Furfrou have different forms, which could be argued is one of the reasons why Furfrou still hasn't got its chance, they're different kind of forms, as Spinda's case is more of a pattern kind of thing, with a crazy number of possibilities that was coded wrong by Ilka, so it doesn't really compare to Furfrou's case. Furfrou's case could be kinda like Burmese, and they had no problem introducing those into Legends Arceus and BDSP. Just wanted to put the form thing out there. All of these Gen 5 Pokemon missing from the Nintendo Switch imply even further that we will see a Unova game in the very near future, though Furfrou might be the one actually sealing the deal when it comes to what that game will be. Unova is a generation that evolved, not the first one as Johto showed us a new Kanto, but Pokemon Black and White and Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 did that on the same generation. We saw how not only the cities changed, but also its characters and the Pokemon available in the wild. While on the first ones, Pokemon Black and Pokemon White, you could only catch Pokemon from another region basically in the post-game areas, the second ones, Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, gave us that opportunity from the beginning. And I think that right now, with the Gen 5 sequel, we'll probably see the same thing happening but for Pokemon from further generations that came after Gen 5. While this could be done in a simple post-game area like it was in the past, or simply with a post-game feature like the Owen and Sinnoh sounds from Heart Gold and Soul Silver or the Dex Nav from Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I think everything points to that not being the case. That's because, just like Ingo being transported to Hisui seemed to be a hint at something changing in Unova, and just like the Blueberry Academy is a clear indication of the passing of time in that region as well, the existence of Furfrou as one of the Pokemon that are not yet in any of the Nintendo Switch games feels like it is another hint at something changing in our Gen 5 related adventure. I can't imagine Furfrou being a Pokemon that would show up in a Gen 2 related game, even if it is a Legends game with space-time distortions, though I can easily see it as a Pokemon that is either available in the wild in the new Unova or, and that is a lot more likely, as a gift Pokemon which, and this is going to be an extra bit of speculation, could come from the owner of the Pakfum Palace, a place that is undoubtedly connected to Unova in a way due to the existence of the Reshiram and Zekrom statues in its courtyard. This could easily work as a way to kickstart and reference the next set of games, just like Ingo did in Legends Arceus, as after the Gen 5 revisit, we will likely have the same cycle happening for Kalos when Gen 10 hits the world. And so, with Furfrou being one of those Pokemon missing together with a bunch of Gen 5 Pokemon, plus all the Gen 5 stuff happening in other games, I think we can expect them all to come together in the same game, which would work very well as a sequel. But we can't forget that things can easily change. We all expect something either Gen 2 or Gen 5 related, but the Pokemon Company has been changing their formula constantly in the last few years, introducing Legends games, DLC, and even remakes not developed by Game Freak. With this constant shift in the way they release games, it's always a mystery what they'll do next, and sometimes even a very educated guess can end up wrong and with a big surprise in front of us. And that is all I have for you today. I believe that Gen 5 sequels are the next games, and Furfrou kinda seals the deal for me. Honestly, I kinda wanna be wrong. I love Gen 2 and I would love Gen 9 sequels. I feel like the games deserve them, but honestly, I think I'll be happy either way. But what about you? What do you think about Furfrou being the one missing? Let me know in the comments down below. And now, like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon content, and also ring the bell so you know when the next video is out. Also, check out my merch or consider becoming a channel member in order to support me even further. I'd be forever thankful for that. You can follow me on social media or check out one of my streams here and on Twitch. All the links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.